We believe so, yes.
Did the two know each other prior to the robbery? How did that transpire?
We're still investigating that. I can't give you an answer at that right now.
Let me clarify just one point. You asked if the decedent was the victim of the robbery. We don't believe he was the victim of the robbery. It was what we believe is that Ms. Griffin struck Mr. Coker with the vehicle as retribution for a robbery. We believe that Mr. Coker robbed Ms. Griffin.
Was this a drug situation?
It's too early to tell. Obviously, there were some large sums of money involved. It's still ongoing. Just because we made an arrest, we need to track back exactly where these people were prior to the incident, how long these people may have lived where they were living. So that part of the investigation is still ongoing.
You mentioned she turned herself in, but it's on her trail when she did. Can you explain how that all went down?
Sure. So Friday night, we identified her as a potential suspect. She has ties to New York City. The captain contacted the United States Marshal Service and their fugitive task force, and they came here Friday night, and they were beginning to ramp up their investigation into this and to begin tracking her down. So I'm glad that she turned herself in. There's always that safety issue. When you put out a wanted bulletin for somebody for murder in the second degree that goes out statewide, search warrants, the captain can answer that.
We conducted 3 search warrants in the town of Brighton, at the apartment complex at East and Highland. We conducted 2 search warrants in the city of Rochester, East Main Street, and the other location was Maplewood Avenue. And then we conducted a search warrant on the vehicle involved, this Mercedes-Benz.
Can you talk about what you were able to find?
I don't want to give out details to what was discovered at the search warrant locations right now. Same goes for the Mercedes-Benz. We have the Mercedes-Benz. We're still conducting investigative leads into that. So at this time, I'd rather not talk about what evidence was found at the scenes.
The woman who was charged, does she live in our community now?
It appears as though she had an address on East Avenue.
Because I know for parole, they do have to register where they're staying.
Yeah.
So as you know, the Chiefs Association here in Monroe County has been very vocal sometimes about parole and parolees living in our community. And this is certainly not to cast a bad light on the men and women who work in the parole system every day, the boots on the ground, if you will. We believe that Ms. Griffin was using that East Avenue address in the Country Club Apartments, and this is my term, a ghost address. Parole had no idea that she was living there. And I know there's a lot of talk in the community about loosening some of the restrictions of paroles. And it's this type of conduct when parole officers don't know where their parolees are living and they can't monitor what they're doing. It only further leads them down the path of criminal conduct. And maybe if there were some more stringent requirements in place of parole and parole officers were allowed to do their jobs, maybe this wouldn't have happened. If we would have known, if parole may have known that she was living there, they could have done home visits. That's the whole purpose of home visits, to see what they're doing and where they're living, so they don't reoffend.
Where did parole think she was living? I know you can't get in their minds, but did you develop any information that the address where she said she was living and how it was different?
She had a parole address, I believe, if I'm correct, out of Bronx.
Staten Island?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's where they thought she was living. That's where they, yeah. She had transferred her parole from the Bronx up to here, or from Richmond County, I should say.
Just a more generic sort of question. You're very familiar with that neighborhood and the traffic in that area. If she was in fact doing all the things that's alleged to have happened with the speed in that vehicle, I mean, how dangerous of a situation was that at that time of day?
Well, it was in the afternoon. I got concerned when I was notified of it. Like I said, Council Rock Primary School is literally 2 blocks south of that location. I thought, God forbid, a child had been struck. Like I said, there's a lot of runners up on Highland Avenue. It's a very walkable neighborhood. But when you have a parolee chasing down a person in a vehicle going the best estimate we have right now as I stand here, 60 miles an hour down Highland Avenue, striking that person, that's pretty dangerous. Do you have anything else for me? Anything for the district attorney's office?
Can you explain
Right.
how the second-degree murder charge applies here? Second-degree intentional murder, if I could get you at a later rate.
Well, as the chief and Captain Dessain have already indicated, there's evidence, and this is by eyewitness accounts, that this individual was traveling at a high rate of speed, approximately 60 miles per hour, as the chief said, and it appeared, this is based again on eyewitness accounts, that the vehicle went directly at this pedestrian, and at the scene, there's additional evidence that was obtained through eyewitness account that this person made some statements indicating that there was that she was recently robbed by an individual at gunpoint. The individual who was found at the scene ended up having what appeared to be a gun on this person, and there appeared to be a large amount of money strewn about the crash scene. Now, with that said, I want to bounce back to what Captain Dessain and the chief said earlier. This investigation and the results of this would have never been possible without the help of the community, eyewitnesses out there that are part of this community, that care about this community, the patrol office, starting from the patrol officers here at this unit, with the Brighton Police Department, through the sergeants, investigators, and ultimately with the investigators involved in this unit. You know, especially Investigator Michael Dessain, Investigator Stephen Hunt, and Investigator Renee Fisher, just to mention a few. I know I'm leaving some out, but it was their tenacity, and along with the tenacity of the regular patrol officers, that were able to develop leads to get to a point, to get to the car that was involved, and from there establish additional points of contact that led to the ultimate identification of the suspect. But with that said, I don't think there's anything more that I can say without compromising the case in some manner or another.
You talked all of you about eyewitnesses. Do you have video? I know everybody's got Ring cameras now and all that kind of stuff. Is there anything that visually points to what happened?
We do have video surveillance from the area, and it kind of pointed us in the right direction. I'm not going to go into details of exactly what that shows, but we do have video evidence. We have a lot of evidence, quite frankly. We collected numerous pieces of evidence. As the captain indicated with the search warrants that were conducted, we're still processing evidence as we speak today, because everything that we collected has to be processed for fingerprints, any type of forensic identification that we can get off of it. So it's still ongoing.
And eventually, yes.
And is there another court appearance set?
I believe that the next court appearance is Friday at 3:30 for a preliminary hearing.
That's here?
Yes.
And what about bail status?
There's no bail on an A1 felony, and she's also a predicate felon. Double predicate felon.
Anything else? Are we all good?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you all for coming out.
Thank you.
Drive careful.